Hey, I hope you're doing well. So today I heard something interesting. I'm studying this. I'm studying evolution, right? And I'm not sure this is going to be reversed, right? I don't know. Anyway, Darwin Devolves. Listening to this thing, the new science about DNA that challenges evolution, by Michael Behe. One of the things that I do is, as a non-malicious hacker, I'm always thinking through things. I'm always trying to imagine what it is I have not imagined before. Try to expose myself to different teachings. I'll listen to people like Behe. I'll listen to Richard Dawkins. I'll listen to whoever it is, just to get all the information out there, and try to mash it in my head in this meat grinder, if you will, and apply what I believe to be truth to it, apply what I believe to be logic to it, and see what comes out. Of course, I fill my head hopefully with more positive stuff on a regular basis, so that I'm based and grounded in my faith and all of that, because this is a post about faith, right? And so one of the interesting things that Behe said today that really got me thinking is, he didn't say this, but he sort of implies it through his teaching, if you will. The Christian kingdom, hey, I got a text. The Christian kingdom is a backwards kingdom, right? We climb the ladder by serving, by getting down on our knees. Our Savior, if you will, brought life to the world through death. We give in order to be honored with more trust, so that we are given more. Things like that. And so this is a spiritual truth. I've believed this for decades, and it's hard to apply to everything. It's not always evident everywhere, but the spiritual truth of this backward kingdom does exist, in my opinion. And so Behe teaches, and I find this interesting, that's why I'm listening to him, that it's not evolution that has happened to the planet, it's de-evolution, right? And he talks about the polar bear that is actually a descendant of the more healthy, the more gene complete, and amino acid complete and protein complete grizzly bear, but that over time things have happened, mutations have happened, and so the polar bear was born out of the grizzly bear line. And he does this in his book through many, many species. He shows how through mapping out the genome of these species, we've been able to see that certain birds, certain fish, certain bacteria all come from one place, and they sort of branch out by way of mutation. And it's not advancement that we see, it's the opposite. And he says that's really hard for people to grasp, right? It's really hard for people to understand that idea. They think, well, if all this mutation happens, aren't some of them very positive? Don't they add to the toolbox, if you will, that these creatures have? And so he paints an analogy, which is really clear, and that's what I'm hoping to share. So he says, imagine you have 4 people, they're leaving Philadelphia, right? And when they leave Philadelphia, they're all given the same tools. They're given, I have to remember this, they're given a rifle, they're given a water container, I have to remember what the other ones were. I forget, I'm just going to make them up. A rifle, a water container, a pair of shoes, and a jacket, right? And now imagine a mutation comes along that breaks one of those items for each person, but each person has a different item break. So the first guy has his item that breaks, it's defective, is his jacket. It does not keep him warm. And so that guy will migrate towards warmer climates and will acclimate towards warmer climates and will wind up living a lifestyle in a warmer climate because he can't keep warm in a cooler climate. The gentleman who had the pair of shoes, right? He gets out there, he starts going, and his breaks. Now he's going to acclimate towards a place where he doesn't need to do a lot of traveling. He's not going to be, I forget what they're called, folks who are nomad. He's not going to be, walking around different places exploring. He's going to find a comfortable place. He's going to settle in. There's going to be food, water, shelter, all that, fire, and he's going to stay in that place. And his people, unlike the first group, who are warm climate people, are now going to be people who stay in one location. They're the non-traveling people. Third group, the guy with a water container, right? He goes out, all of a sudden his water container breaks. Well, guess where he's going to settle? He's going to settle next to a stream or next to a body of clean, fresh water. And his people are going to be known as people who are living by the water. They're never going to go out into the desert. They're never going to go into places where there's no water. Fourth group of people, that come out of this is the guy who has the rifle. He goes out, boom, rifle does not work, blows up in his hand the first time he tries to load it or something like that. Now he's going to settle somewhere where farming is available to him, where the soil is rich and he can grow crops and survive and gather rather than hunt. And so this is the way, according to Behe, that evolution works. We have all of these organisms in the world. They all are damaged over time as the mutations happen, and they wind up falling into different groups in different places, and they wind up acclimating to those different scenarios. But we don't ever see brand new scenarios come out. So for instance, a bird goes to an island and the seeds are a little harder to break there, and so those birds over time, through mutations, will get a stronger, shorter beak. They will be able to crack those seeds, and those are the ones that will survive. And the ones that have the longer, weaker beak that can't crack the seeds die off. But you never see the bird turn into a turtle. You don't see the bird turn into a dinosaur or come from a dinosaur or turn into a bat, right? You don't see them cross the lines of species ever. And there have been experiments that have been done even with simple things like bacteria, over tens of thousands of generations of bacteria, over and over and over for many decades, to see what would happen as far as changes go. You can read about that or look that up if you check out Behe's book. And nothing ever changes. They stay within the same species. They don't turn into something else. They gain maybe, as in the polar bear, size and white hair, so they can live in the north and eat fatty foods. There's a gene in there that allows them to eat fatty foods over the grizzly bear. But the bear didn't turn into a fish. It didn't turn into a dog, So here we are as human beings poking around in the nature of animals. We breed dogs. How many human beings do you know that have bred a dog into a cat? How many human beings do you know have taken a dog, any dog, and turned it into another animal? Doesn't happen. And we are very, very specific about how we do things. Now, that's a short amount of time, right? But I want you to also keep in mind, if you look in nature, you don't see naturally poodles. You don't see naturally Rottweilers or Great Danes. You see the dog. We have selectively bred certain attributes about dogs into these different breeds that we really love. And you can ask anyone who knows a lot about dogs. When you start getting these breeds over the mutts or over just the generic dogs, you start getting health problems. Why? Because they're damaged by the changes that are made in their structure that give them these attributes. The bulldog with its flat face can't breathe through its nose. It'll never be a runner ever again. You will not see one winning a race. It can't breathe, right? So it's been damaged, but we like that attribute, so we breed the bulldogs to look like that, and we enjoy them. That's how nature works. We get these broken areas in the genome, in the genes, through proteins and through amino acids and all these things that are happening inside of these organisms, and they create certain attributes that come out. And what happens when those attributes come out is we get a different looking animal in the same species, but it's a damaged animal. We just happen to see that some of those damaged areas are good areas, like the damage to the bird, the damage to the gene in the bird that causes its beak to be smaller and thicker, helps it to open up thicker seeds, right? Harder seeds to break. So next time you're talking about evolution, next time you're thinking about this stuff, just understand, no fish ever crawled out of the sea and turned into something else and wound up being a monkey that turned into a human. That just doesn't happen scientifically, and they can't show it. No one can show it anywhere, anytime, anyhow. The only reason we believe that is because back years and years ago, Charles Darwin said that it was a possibility, and it was accepted widely by everyone. And Darwin had some great ideas in his book, but that was not one of them. It's been disproven by science over and over again, and it's just something that people are holding on to in the scientific community, because it is not only a habit that they picked up to understand that, but they don't want to be proven wrong. Why? Because what comes with being proven wrong? The question of where do we come from? That is the faith point. God bless you guys. Have a great day.